Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann, welcome to Speak for Yourself. Let's get right to it.
Thank
we
you.
pull up and we like to ask people about their quarantine life. And so we want to know, have you binged anything on Netflix or Amazon? What have you been doing to pass the time during this quarantine?
Yeah, obviously I've been, watching a lot of TV. Luckily I have my kids around, so I'm able to kind of interact with them, go outside in the backyard with them, play with them. And then I got like a little mini basement that's kind of like my workout area. So I'm trying my best to stay busy, but it's hard, no doubt.
We just had a conversation about Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant. They're continuing to go out and work out together. And we've seen Lamar Jackson working out with Antonio Brown and Hollywood Brown. I don't have a problem with it. I actually support the guys that are doing it, and I know it's kind of risky. What have you been doing to kind of stay in shape beyond your basement, or have you been just limited to your basement?
Yeah, well, obviously going in the backyard and, obviously going for a jog, around my neighborhood. But, I think thanks to everybody is different. Obviously a lot of guys are in, situations where, they feel like they have to work out. They have to get that edge and, make sure that they're preparing themselves for next year. And, then there's guys like me who obviously is preparing for next year. But, we have kids at home. And, I think the risk of going out and kind of getting something and bringing it back home and, impacting your family or affecting your family, I think that's kind of, where I'm at with it right now. So, I just try my best to, stay around people I've been around, since this whole thing has really started.
Tyrann, you have the greatest nickname perhaps in all of sports, but you kind of walked away from the Honey Badger nickname. How come?
Yeah. Well, I'm growing up, and I feel like that name there, obviously it'll always be with me. Even going back to my roots in Louisiana, I think a lot of kids, from Louisiana, they don't even know my first name. They just know me by the Honey Badger. But, I think as I grow older, man, I get more mature in this league. I just want people to know me by, my first name. That's Tyrann.
It's been a remarkable journey. I follow you on social media. I'm very impressed by the way you present yourself and carry yourself. You're a very reflective, thoughtful person. I'm not sure if we would have thought that early on in your LSU days. What have you learned about yourself during this quarantine and spending so much time around family? Any new thoughts from Tyrann Mathieu coming out of this quarantine?
Yeah, well, obviously I've always been, the kind of guy that really consider myself a leader, not only, as a football player, but, even within the community. I always try to do my part there. And, I think, my thoughts is ever since this thing has really started, I think it's given me great perspective on, the levels I want to take my foundation to, the Tyrann Mathieu Foundation. And, can I really, create ways and resources to really impact people in times like this. I think we do a lot of great things throughout the year, turkey giveaways and Christmas giveaways. I think a lot of players are going to, want to take their foundations to the next level to really impact people, in really critical situations like the times we're in right now.
You mentioned being a leader. Tyrann, I don't know if you know this, but I made my bones in Kansas City. Longtime Chiefs fan, covered the Chiefs for a lot of years. When Eric Berry left, I was like, oh, my God, where are they going to get the leadership from? You stepped up and have been that leader on the defensive side. Let me ask you just a straight-up Chiefs fan question from the leader of the defense, Chris Jones, the most talented player on the defense. He's been franchise tagged and wants a long-term contract, but the Chiefs, we got $177 in cap space. Are you concerned? Should I be concerned that somehow Chris Jones is going to wind up someplace else than in a Chiefs uniform?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you talk about a guy, really of that stature, a guy that can really impact the game, in ways that he can, we moved him all over the defensive line last season. And he really was able to really, make guys around him better. And I think anytime you have a guy that not only makes people around him better, but you can see him in your long-term future, I think it's necessary to really try to pay those guys. So I hope it works out. I hope me and Chris can continue being neighbors.
Oh, he's your neighbor. All right. All right. Speaking of guys that got to get paid, our quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, man, he's worth every dime. I hope they pay him $100 million. I hope they give him ownership in the franchise. For you as a defensive player, what was incredible to me in the Super Bowl, the comeback, obviously, you shut down the 49ers in the entire fourth quarter. And one of my thoughts was, as a defensive player, having Patrick Mahomes must give you so much confidence that if we get the ball back to this kid, he can create a miracle for us. We're never out of a game.
Yeah, I think really that's the luxury. I think everybody on defense, including myself, we take great pride in that, knowing that, we're playing with a guy that's, really transcending the position he's playing. He's really, really making everybody around him better. And I think it's our job to really understand that, this is his team, and, we got to do our best to compliment him. And I think he's one of those guys who he looks forward to having the ball in his hands and, making big plays. And so I'm excited to see him continue to grow and really continue to lead us.
All right, this is obviously the most unique offseason perhaps in the history of the NFL. No OTAs. Look, it's always tough to defend a title. Guys get complacent. Guys start thinking about contracts, and it's very hard to defend a title. Do you think this offseason, the uniqueness of it, makes it easier or harder for you guys to be motivated and defend this title?
I'm not really sure, but I think what I do know is, we got a lot of young guys on our team, a lot of guys that really love to play football. They love to be around each other, and I think we have that chemistry. Like I mentioned, a lot of guys that's on the team that, they're going to be together for the next 2 or 3 years, and I think we understand that. I think we understand the bond we have, and so really it's just a matter of us getting around each other, and then just getting back to, the normal routine.
All right, I know this is kind of a biased question, but who's got a better shot at defending their title, the Chiefs or your LSU Tigers?
Well, I'd probably say, the Tigers. Obviously, it's a great program Coach O is doing down there, building those recruits, getting those guys to really buy into the tradition of, playing football for LSU. But I say, speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, we're a confident team. We're a confident bunch. We feel like we have some of the best coaches in the National Football League. And we feel like we have some of the best players in the National Football League at most positions. So for us, it's all about going out there, believing in our coaching, and then having leadership, having guys that you can really fall on when times get hard.
Tyrann, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. Enjoy some Gates barbecue during your quarantine for me. I would appreciate that. Mr. Gates, if you're watching, love you. Can't wait to see you guys again. Thank you, Tyrann. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.